A well-crafted character is the heart and soul of any great comic or manga. Characters like Guts, Spider-Man, or Naruto all draw people into their respective stories. Having watched, scoured, and read tons of books on creative writing, I've come up with at least 3 tips that will help you to create stronger characters that your audience will love. So, what are the first mistakes that people make when attempting to create strong characters? So, let me tell you a story. Back when I was first beginning my creative writing journey, I was quite young, around the 8th grade, so about 11 years old. I dreamt up this character called Narc. He was a fusion of Goku and Naruto. And based off of that, you already know that my story was absolute dog shit. But that doesn't matter much. I struggled to implement him into the plot of my world without having to change a tons of things around, like probably his name first and foremost. But it really frustrated me, and I ended up having to rewrite a lot of stuff for the plot and the characters. So it was only after I discovered this first tip, which made my life way easier. And that is when building characters, take into account the plot, the setting, when creating the character. Think about it though. The plot is the events that your character has to go through. It's the events, it's the choices that they make. The setting is where this entire story takes place. It's where your character lives, it's where the plot takes place. All of these things all come together to make your story. You can't write a competent story without these 3 things. And it's when all 3 of these things are taken into account at the beginning, you can save yourself a lot of time and energy and don't have to end up like me. Let's take a look at Naruto for a good example of this. So one of his defining traits is that he has a 9-tailed fox sealed deep within him. As a direct result, Naruto is an outcast in his village and is seen little more than just a pest and a freak by those around him, and he leads a very lonely and painful life. However, it's because he's experienced that pain that he's able to interact with other characters in the setting, like Gaara, and who too has a monster sealed within him. And it's because of that, Naruto is able to empathize with him, or as Naruto fans like to call it, use Talk no Jutsu and get through to him. And this leads to my next point, which is point number 2. Your characters have to have authentic interactions and connections with the world and people around them. Now, this does sound rather obvious, but slapping on just some random connection between 2 people is not gonna make it feel authentic to your audience. You have to take into account everything that makes this character themselves. And a quick list of things would include: what is their childhood like? Is she bold and brash or quiet and refined? And if so, what were the influences behind them that led her to be this way? What are the things that they believe they actually want, and what are the things that they actually need? What beliefs about the world does this character have, and how does that affect their goals and desires? These are just a couple of questions that you need to be asking yourself if you want to have, and they have a great impact on your character, and in turn, your story as a whole. The more things you know about your character, the more ways you can use other characters and the narrative to explore them. In fact, the story. A good example can be seen in Batman and Joker dynamic, where the Joker tests Batman resolve not to kill. We all know that Joker needed the death penalty like a decade ago, but Batman keeps sparing him. His strength of character, his morals, and just who he is. One final touch for creating strong characters that people are usually drawn to. And it can actually be found in old myths and legends like Hercules and Sun Wukong, and even some modern day superheroes such as Superman or Batman. These characters are known far and wide across the world, but what causes them to be so popular? Can you guess? I'll give you a couple of seconds. 3, 2, 1. The big commonality is that these characters embody some virtuous trait. Jonathan Haidt, a social scientist and author who has researched the topic of moral elevation, which is a positive emotional response to witnessing virtuous acts, feats of moral beauty, or great acts of kindness and altruism. Characters who often stand up for what is right, like Hercules, Sun Wukong, Superman, Batman. These things elevate ourselves and make us want to be better too. And now, that's to say that don't necessarily need to have virtues in a character for a character to be good. I love One Piece's Doflamingo, but I'm not about to sit here and lie to you and to act like he's a great person. He is an actual piece of shit, and he just needs to go. He needs to die, pretty much. But if these tips helped you, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.